Allah reward them manyfold, as we are benefiting from their work today. And inshallah, more to be benefited in the future. In this Ramadan, then, let us focus on a few things. This end of Ramadan, and inshallah, tonight may be Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, the night of destiny, the night of honor, when one single moment could be worth a lifetime, 1,000 months, as the Quran tells us. But Ramadan tells us that the most important miracle in Islam is the Quran. Other prophets, we know of physical miracles. The miracle of parting the Red Sea for Moses. The miracle of healing, and so many other things for Jesus. May peace be upon both of them. But the Prophet Muhammad nobody witnessed a physical miracle that the consensus of scholars would say this was a physical miracle. The miracle was the Quran. It was a book, it is a book that talks about the constellation of the stars, the embryonic stages of the fetus, the expansion of the universe, the separation of salt water and fresh water by a barrier, all in perfect ground, to the point that it challenged people at that time, if you think it can produce anything, any surah like we have in front, go ahead. And of course they could not. So this is our miracle. And it was all given to a man who was ordinary, but he did extraordinary things. He was the perfect example of character. He was the perfect example of mercy. And the Quran says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not sent you other than to be a mercy to the worlds. So that is the miracle that we are celebrating this month. And that is the gift that God Almighty has left us with. Then there is another miracle. And the story of this miracle is in the Quran, and how God had created humanity with the gift of the human mind. And he told the angels to go and prostrate to this creation. And they did, except for Satan. And we'll get into that later. But the reason why that human beings are able to master the rest of creation is because of the human mind. And so let us look into what the Quran is saying about this gift that God has given us. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك وقنا عذاب النار. These two very powerful verses that we find in the Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, the third surah, verses 190 and 191. They talk about the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the exchange between the night and the day. Those who will have insight will get a message from all that is around them. It's talking about those who are endowed with insight. In other words, not just people who are looking for the superficial, for the immediate self-gratification. Not people who can't see the deeper meaning of what is happening around them and what is happening in our life. But people who appreciate what is really the driver behind the events around them and the thoughts that envelop our way of thinking. And so it is talking about those who are endowed with insight. And then it defines who they are. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. They remember God when they are standing or sitting or on their side. So that is the first way to remember and to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remember in God in everything that we do. But it also connects remembrance of God with a very important principle. It says also, and وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And those who are in continuous thinking and reflective thought about what is happening around. So the remembrance of God, dhikr, is inseparable from critical thinking. If you want to be a good Muslim, you have to be a good thinker. And what does it mean to be a thinker? In other words, we are not saying that it is just for philosophers or for those